So we learned on ChatGPT that we should do 3 podcasts. So this is actually number 4. We can always cut this part, Apparently, we don't know.
Why are we even doing this?
Why are we doing this? We are doing this because Liaza, multiple years ago, when you first moved in, got 2 microphones because you wanted to do podcasts. Was it 4 years ago?
4 microphones.
4 microphones. Oh, 4 microphones.
I wanted to do podcasting,
Yeah.
I wanted to just encourage people, like we said in, I think it was episode 1. But
I know why. Because last night we were talking.
Yeah.
Till like 2 in the morning. And which is late for me, early for her. And she was saying that people should we were just talking about stories, and she said that people were telling her that she should write a book. And I said, why should you write a book? You've always wanted to do podcasts. You should tell your stories. And so I said, today, let's do some podcasting. And she's like, procrastinated all day until 4:30. She's like, I need to clean this, and I need to clean that, and I need to feed Desi, the dog, and I don't have all the right equipment, so whatever, we don't care.
So we're just winging it.
Yes.
And out of celebration of our 50-year friendship, I think that was
And her birthday in 2 weeks.
Oh,
when we're the same age.
Not so right now. I'm still 58 and young and happy.
Yeah.
So the
enjoyable.
last episode, I think it was episode 3, Alycia got a little bit vulnerable with her journey of making mistakes and then accepting them, and
making them part of my story,
having forgiveness and love just outpoured to her, and accepting what was to come as far as twins, and then losing them in that whole thing. And then we switched off, and she was like, "That was your turn," and I'm like,
She wants you to think she's perfect.
So I was just like, I had to remember what actually happened. I mean, I had to kind of really go back. And my story is I wanted to do everything right. I wanted to, we were in Christian school since we were 5th grade. I went to Valley Christian, graduated, was in ministry. I'm a singer and just a worshiper and love the Lord. And that's why I started doing the Gospel San Jose's, because I wanted to be able to bring together all of the denominations under one roof for one thing. It's just to bless the Lord and to worship Him, whether you were Protestant or Lutheran or Catholic or whatever, just bring all the people together for one reason. And that's what Gospel San Jose was. And during that time, I became very disillusioned with the church. I was invited to many churches, and I would talk about Gospel San Jose. We had, I think we had probably 35 or 40 churches involved. We had everything from worship, dancing, and we had all the greatest creative arts that were there, and it was a really great time. However, I started really seeing under the covers of a lot of these churches, and I would see, and I have no judgment, seriously, but as a young 20-year-old, I had my eyes opened to people in the pulpit who, were digging the same sex, people who were just in sin, but in ministry. And that affected me because I came out of the Assemblies of God church where there were consequences for sin. And, you might be sat down and for a while and get your stuff right and then get back up there in ministry. But to be ministering to people and knowing that you're in a life of sin was really hard for me to accept. And I got really disillusioned with the church.
I wanted to interrupt for just 1 second too, because I was remembering that same time period. I was at Oral Roberts University, and that was the late 80s, early 90s when there was all that scandal. PTL Club and Jimmy Swaggart and all that. So I became just disillusioned as well. And there was a lot of stuff going on at Oral Roberts University. So that's just, I didn't put that together that you were going through it in a different way back here in California.
From the creative arts perspective.
Yeah, and I was in the educational perspective.
Let me ask you a question. Yeah, why do you think we were so disillusioned? why do you think we were so disillusioned in our young 20s with the church when we saw them going through what they were going through?
For me, I think it's that my parents, when they got saved, they were the Christians of the New Testament. They did whatever the Lord asked them to do. So I watched my mom and dad. Their lives were transformed. I mean, we went from smoking pot and partying on Saturdays and screaming and yelling to Jesus and him absolutely transforming our family's life. The screaming stopped, the yelling stopped, the love came in. My parents were on the verge of divorce, and none of that happened. And the Lord would just keep asking them to do stuff, and they would do it. So I think that when I went to Christian college, I had that same expectation that I'd be pulled up. Does that make sense? Like I would, they would train me on how to really hear the Lord for my own self. So I'm following the Lord and doing those things. But then when I saw they were partying in the dorms, and then there was also infidelity going on in the staff, that was really disillusioning.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's interesting you brought that up.
And so because I saw what I saw, I had pastors hitting on me. And I was just like, what? Your wife is just like right there. You know, it was just a mess. And so after Gospel San Jose 94, we did a few more Gospel San Jose's in the park and things like that. And I just was a little bit disgusted, burnt out, if you will. And I kind of started allowing things that I would not normally do, like go to the clubs more. And I went to DB Cooper's one night, and there was this beautiful man that was standing on this perch that was up above. And he was just standing by himself, and his hands were just apart. And he was in this suit, and he was just so dapper. And do they use that word anymore?
We will. We're old. You're old. No,
and I remember looking up at him and thinking, oh my gosh, that guy is fine. And then after, like when all the lights go up, it's 2:00 and they're cleaning people out of the place. He comes up to me and I'm like, you waited on your perch all night long, just staring down. Why didn't you come down prior and say hi? And he goes, because I had to make sure you weren't ugly. I had to make sure the lights came on.
Coyote ugly?
I know. He's like, I had to make sure the lights came on that you weren't ugly.
Funny.
And I just died laughing.
God, that's hilarious.
Well, we ended up knowing each other from work. On the phone, his name was James Dixon, and he worked in a storage facility that worked with our company at the time. And so I was always talking to him, and I knew his name, and I knew, all these things about him. And so when he said, my name's James, and I went, James Dixon? And he's like, yeah. And I said, I'm Liaza. And he goes, Liaza? I mean, so we knew each other through the phone. And then we just started dating, and there's a lot of layers to that. And maybe another podcast for that. But ultimately, I was disillusioned with the church, was kind of going my own direction, and I found myself pregnant with my beautiful son, Jonathan Marshall. And that was a journey. It was a hard journey. I worked 2 jobs, and I went through that pregnancy pretty much all by myself. And Alycia came with me.
Until the end.
Well, Alycia, remember that...
I was living here, though.
Somehow
I went to Lamaze classes.
Yeah, you were going to the Lamaze class, right? And I remember I had to sit between her legs.
Okay, no, we're in Lamaze class. May I tell this story?
And
there's like all these couples and me and Lise. There's me and her, and everybody's introducing everybody, and Liaza stands up, and here I am, and she's like, and this is Alycia, and we're not gay. Oh my God. Okay, sitting between my legs.
Well, I just didn't want people to know.
Oh
I mean, I have gay friends. Don't get me wrong. We don't need no gay bashing.
Who says that in the middle of a class?
Well, I just
It
wanted
was
everyone
1990.
to understand. that I wasn't swinging that way.
Wait, was it 95?
Yeah.
It was 95.
Yeah,
91.
he was born in November of 95.
November.
So I went through that pregnancy
And I got to go be there
yeah,
when
she
JoJo was
did.
born.
That's his godmother. And he,
Love
to
you,
this
JoJo.
day, he's going to be 30 in November, and he still calls you what?
G-Ma.
G-Ma for godmother. Yeah. Good times.
Sweet boy.
So look, we all make mistakes.
But they're not mistakes.
Even like when you go to Christian school and you grow up in a Christian home,
Go to Christian colleges.
you know, you get disillusioned, you get tired, you get worn out, you make decisions that ultimately there will be consequences for, but God.
That's right.
And he takes those mistakes that we make and he turns them around for his good and he makes it right again. And that is the grace that we have over our lives as Christians. And so there's no perfect people here, and there's no judgment here too, because there's a lot more content that you have to know about us. But God was good, and to this day, my son is my best friend. He loves the Lord, and I cannot even imagine my life without him.
Yeah, definitely a gift from the Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And God restores things. So if you get pregnant first and then you get married, I mean, I got married, we had a blended family, and God was faithful to that.
Because he works all things together for the good.
For those who love him.
And are called according to his purposes.
Yes.
And you are called. my
And you
friend.
are called to. But some of us are, you know, wait, what does it say? Many are called, but
But
few
you
are.
chosen. Yes.
And
we
I'm-
learned that in 5th grade.
I'm one of the few. But
I'm chosen. She's few.
and so are you. And we love
kidding.
you.
Love you.
Have a good
Bye.
one.